Okay, this is another video suggestion by Mike Smith. There are quite a few of them. Very good conversations and suggestions. And this one is about children. Now, we all learn from children. That's even in the Bible, and that is true. Become like a child. Pay attention to the children. The children, most of them. Now, there are always exceptions to every rule because there are entities jumping in and out all the time, and that can get really complicated, and that's a whole nother video. But generally, high percentage, children have less amnesia since the 1960s than their parents. So they have more knowledge from the other side than the previous generation. And that's because really the vibration of what you say is happiness really left, well, it didn't really leave, really humans on the planet lowered their vibration so low around World War II that the vibration that previously most humans had identified as being happy was gone, because it was a higher vibration than what they could access, but when they lowered their vibration during the wars, and it pretty much was gone in the 1950s. So that was about when Gaia made her call for help. That's when the first group of people, which I think they call them waves. I have a hard time because I don't watch a whole bunch of other people, but I think I've heard that term from somewhere. Anyway, I'm going to call them waves because I like that. It's really an awesome way of describing it, really. The first wave of starseeds came in. You would consider those, in America anyway, I don't know what they were around the world because it was around the world, but here in America you would have called those people the hippies. And they came in, became adults because of the time-space companion, well, young adults, and they brought in higher vibrations. They were pretty much pummeled almost to oblivion, but thank you very much for you first wavers, because that was a tough job. Good for you for volunteering for that one, because they were pretty much annihilated in this country. They were just, woo. You know how it is whenever you are in a really bad mood and somebody walks in that's extremely happy and you just want to strangle them? Well, that's pretty much how the United States at least was when the hippies showed up, because the hippies were like all love and peace, and the United States was in fear and anger, and they did not want to hear it, so they just turned on them pretty hard. And I was talking to ex number 2, who is 10 years older than I am, who was actually, the hippies' age, and I was born in 1960. So, although I have sketchy memories of my childhood for obvious reasons, I do vividly remember that even by the time I was 8 to 10, which was 68 to 70, I had been indoctrinated enough that I knew the difference between good and bad. And good means being nice, and bad meant being mean. And what I saw on TV and heard the adults around me saying really, really, well, I pretty much didn't trust my father and mother by that time because of, well, refer to my trauma video, for good reason. But at that point, I really think that I thought, well, these two are bad, but humans aren't bad as a general rule. And then I watched the TV and listened to the people around me, and here are these, what looked like really nice, adults, because I was, 8 and 10, so even the teenage hippies were adults to me. And I saw them dancing and chanting, and they had flowers, and they seemed very nice to me as a child. And here's all these adults calling them bad names. And I was, at that moment, confused. I said, so they're being nice, like you tell me to be, like the teachers told me to be, and how everybody told me to be, and you don't like them, and you're being mean and talking really nasty about them, and you say you're the good guys and they're the bad guys. And I think in that period of time, I lost trust in all humans, certainly all adults, because that didn't make sense. It didn't make sense by what they said, didn't make sense from what I saw. It was the ones that said they were the good guys who had the guns and were hurting the ones that were laughing and singing. So that's when I lost that faith. But you can see, as a child, I was right. The adults were wrong. Well, that's true all the way across the board, and even now. So, most, and it's really hard for me to tell right now, about 90% of the children that have been born from 2012 on are what I don't know if they have a name. I know people have called previous children like indigo children, and I think there's crystal children. Anyway, I call these children Prism children, because to me, whenever I look, feel, see them, they are every color imaginable and all vibrations, and oh my gosh, it's just awesome. I love being around these kids. I will search them out. I find them. I stop and talk to them. They feel wonderful. And unless they are extremely traumatized or medicated or whatever, which they can be, because there are black hat Illuminati trying to get these kids and not have them effectively help the planet. So it can happen. But if left alone, these kids will not listen to you. They're not going to fall for any of the belief systems because they have very little amnesia. If they're left alone or raised well by an enlightened parent, they have no amnesia at all. They'll answer every question you've got. They can answer it better than I can. Just ask them. But most adults think little kids just don't have any wisdom, so they don't listen to them, and little kids almost always have all the wisdom. And then they're indoctrinated with belief systems over time, and then they forget it. Or they're told that they're crazy or they're stupid. So these kids will not be bent. So if they're in a family, or if they've been hijacked over into a family to control them, they'll be if you try to force them to do stuff, if you make them believe a certain way, they're going to laugh at you, they're going to ignore you, they're going to go, yeah, right. They're going to think that you're the child because they remember how things work. So you've got a choice. You could either listen to them or you can try to stop them. Good luck with that. I love these kids. Love them, love them, love them. By the time these kids grow up, everybody else that's inappropriate for the higher vibrations will have either raised their vibration or died. So they are the end game. So they're pretty much all, they're going to take care of everything. Everything will be fixed with these guys as they grow up. So you can go with them. You can listen to them. You can learn a lot. You can, if you're listening to me and you have a Prism child, easy. You will definitely be in 5D. And these guys are all going to 5D. They're all going to 5D. There's no question. Now, and I can tell their vibrations. Now, specifically, I've got a friend of my daughter's. Well, they're pretty much all three friends of my daughter's. And one of them is in Boston. And she has a little girl, Aquarius Prism child. And oh my gosh, she feels wonderful whenever I lock into her. Then she has another friend, another Aquarian female Aries child in India. Again, wonderful parents in India. Wonderful parents. They're just the best things ever. Really, really fostering this child. This child's going to be magnificent. The one in Boston, wonderful father. Mother's a little hinky sometimes. That's my daughter's friend. Almost raised this girl. But she does have a few issues. But the father is again, very, very good. He's Asperger's and computer programming genius. And he just adores this little girl. So he will do just fine. He protects her wonderfully. She's going to be magnificent. She is magnificent. And then there's another one in Michigan, northern Michigan, and he is an Aries boy. Great combination, Aquarians and Aries on the planet. And I'm going to say something, you guys are going to freak out, but he is actually he's a dragon starseed. Massive energy. No one will ever be able to stop that child. The only way you'll be able to stop that child is shoot him. Kill him. Because he already is, he's like 2. I think he was trying to climb out the window, and they are just running, he's just running them ragged. And his energy almost takes my breath away. I didn't even know that dragons, I think there are a couple of them, but I didn't even know that dragons were down here in starseed form. I didn't even know they would do that. But he's magnificent. So, I don't know how much time I've got left. So, when it comes to children, the Prism children since 2012, go with the flow, learn from them. They will teach you a lot. The rest of the time, your job is really to teach a child how to run the human body, how to eat right, how to walk, how to talk, the basics of language. After that, your job is to allow them to encourage them to follow their bliss. At this point, the old belief systems don't work, and if you don't know that religion has failed and civilization has failed and education has failed and that there's a better way, I love this unschooling thing that I heard about. That's great. If you can't homeschool, then unschool. That is fantastic. There are places around the world that are much better than the United States at teaching their children. China is not one of them. But, all of these rigid rules, you should be figuring out now that science doesn't know what it's doing. Modern medicine is clueless and all about the money. So there's so many systems that are obviously wrong. So we need to do it a different way. You can learn from these children. These children just need the basics on this planet. When it comes to bigger things, they are very, very good at what they're doing. They know what their body needs. Don't let them eat what they want to eat. Encourage them to eat listen to their bodies, not listen to what you've been told your whole life, because your body changes moment to moment, timeline to timeline. It needs different things, and kids know that. They know it instinctually, especially the really young ones. They really know what's good and what's bad. If they don't want it, probably something's wrong with it. Okay, so what else about kids? Well, I think I'm about out of time on this phone. I need to recharge it. So I'll look at it, and if I need to say more, I will. How was that, Mike Smith? Let me know, okay? Love y'all. Huge hugs.